So I've been looking at Team Fortress 2 servers, seeing how they operate, watching YouTube videos of them being abused by the admins of those servers, and it got me to thinking about how every single forum is a scam. Every single website is a pyramid scheme to get your money, to control you, and to rape you, and to hurt you. I mean, think about it. Name me one forum that does not ask for donations. You can't do it. Even big websites like 4chan ask for donations, but meanwhile they treat you like shit. Now, why should they get donations if they're going to treat their member base like that? And how is that supposed to entice people to want to give charity to that website if their freedom of speech isn't even guaranteed? How can you say that this is a great board if, you don't even have freedom of speech? And how can you say that they deserve money if they won't even respect you as human beings? So those are questions you need to ask yourself. And you need to ask yourself, how is it that they've allowed to exist this long without going to jail for fraud and for money laundering? Because normal people can't do that. How do they get away with garnering people's money and continuing to run this abusive website that has this strict class hierarchy and no accountability whatsoever? It doesn't make any sense, does it? And of course it doesn't make sense, because they don't want it to. They just want to hurt people. They want to take your money and hurt you while they do it. Because if they did not have the intention of hurting people just to hurt them, and of robbing people of their money, the internet would not be ran the way it is. Why does 4chan need to ask for donations? Doesn't 4chan get enough money from advertisement? Why does mythweavers need to ask for donations? Mythweavers has an advertisement bar on their website, and it's not very aggravating, nor should it be. And why does any website or any video game server need to ask for money in general? Because as far as I'm concerned, most times when you allow advertisements on your website, that pays the dividend. So you break even, and you don't need to ask for donations. You don't need to scam people. You don't need to try to entice them to, basically buy your website for you. And then to top it all off, you're going to tell me that it's their property. It's not their property. Obviously, it's a charity. And what right does a charity have to ban anybody? Are you going to see some cancer children's charity banning people? Are you going to see some women's health clinic banning people? It doesn't happen, because that's not how charities work. So you cannot claim that it's your property because you're begging like a fucking alcoholic hobo on the street for fucking cash, and then you want to turn around and act like it's my property. No, it isn't, and you need to stop, because I'm really close to getting violent with you. And I'm sick of this shit, and the authorities need to crack down on moderators. Or at the very least, some kind of vigilante needs to fucking gun them down, because this is ridiculous. These guys are the mafia. These guys are mobsters, they're criminals, and they're getting away with it. They're getting away with screwing people out of their money because, quite frankly, people are fucking stupid. Richard the Rapist Bueller has earned $1 million on Kickstarter for what? To do what he was doing before? He was already making a webcomic. He was already publishing paperback versions of his webcomic. Why does he need $1 million? Why does he need to even start a project for his webcomic if he was already doing it to begin with? He doesn't need to. He just figured he can get $1 million out of his idiotic fan base, and he was right. In fact, it went well beyond what he expected. He was probably expecting a few $100, and instead his fan base is so fucking stupid and so masochistic that they give him $1 million of their money, and meanwhile he'll fucking ban you for any reason. And he thinks he has any reason to ban you. He thinks he's entitled to doing that to you. But you're willing to give him $1 million. You're willing to give that little fucker $1 million. That child rapist sympathizer, that piece of shit, that control freak, you're willing to give him $1 million, but you're not willing to allow yourself and allow everyone else around you to have freedom of speech on the internet. What the fuck is wrong with you? In all seriousness, are you smoking crack? Or have you just not thought about it in depth? Or, are you just incapable of rationalizing the idea that people do have absolute freedom, and especially in an environment where it cannot possibly hurt anybody? This is the internet. No one is in any physical danger. But where we should be able to have ultimate freedom, we can't because mentally people are not prepared for it. How is that any fault of Jim Prophet or anybody else that's more civil-headed? Why should we have to pay for the immaturity, the spiritual immaturity of people like Richard the Rapist Buhler? And you need to ask yourselves these questions seriously, because Richard the Rapist Buhler right now has $1 million. $1 million, I have no idea what he's doing with, because quite frankly, he didn't need it. So it's not like he's using it for what he said he was going to, which is fraud. So God only knows what he's doing with it. And that's $1 million you don't have, that you could have used to pay your bills and shit. And if he had just said that outright, if he had just said, I need money to pay my mortgage and to, pay for gas and shit because I'm fucking poor. Writing a webcomic does not make you a lot of money. Even if I do get site donations every freaking month, that apparently, is almost like working a job. So, fine. People then give him money to pay for whatever. But that's not what he said. He said he's going to use it for his webcomic. So, what exactly are you doing? And why do you need that kind of money to do it? Someone brought this up with the Angry Video Game Nerd and his movie, about how you don't need a whole lot of money to create a movie. Because apparently he's not satisfied with just making a B movie, he wants to make some kind of cinematic masterpiece. Or perhaps he just wants your money and he has no intention of completing the movie. I don't know Angry Video Game Nerd's intentions. I have no reason to personally believe that that's where he's going with this, because I've never been to Angry Video Game Nerd's forum. I don't know if they ban people or not. I don't even know if he has a forum. So I cannot make that assessment of his character. But what I do know is, given the evidence of multiple websites and how they run and how they treat their base and what they do and the way they do indeed screw people over, they take their money, they sit on it, and then people turn around and defend them. They defend them on the basis of it's their property, the property that other people paid for. They defend them on the basis that you're a troll and you're a spammer and you broke the rules and shit. Look at fucking 4chan. Every single month, some fucking dumbass white supremacists that want to bitch about Jews and Negroes taking this country. But meanwhile, they pay that piece of shit $200, $300 a month for what? For a shitty hole-in-the-wall imitation of 4chan that bans just as many people, has just as big of a class hierarchy, and basically makes up the rules as they go along. It only applies to some of the people some of the time, and for what? So basically you're paying him to do nothing, because the website is in no way superior to 4chan. In fact, it's every way inferior, because it doesn't have nearly as much creativity. Anyone that is remotely interesting, Steve bans because he's jealous, because he's an uncreative twat. It has nothing of merit going for it. It's just been completely dominated by the ultra right wing, and Steve's just counting his money and laughing at you while he bans you, of course. So not only has he taken your money, he's taken your pride, and he's taken your freedom of speech. He's taken your liberty. You have absolutely nothing left. So what are you going to do? Are you going to just sit there and continue to let that abuse happen to you? Or are you going to do something about it? Are you going to actually get up and take back what is rightfully yours? I'm not saying necessarily that, you got to take back your money, because that's a little hard to do once it's in his hands. But you can certainly take back your pride, your dignity, your self-respect, and your freedom by doing something about the internet. You know, that's why we need to support the government in doing whatever they want to do with the internet. Fuck the internet. Fuck all these big websites. Fuck even the little websites. You know, they don't appreciate us. They don't appreciate what we do, what we go through. They don't appreciate the donations we give and the fact that we abide by their forum rules. We don't have to. We do it anyway because we're courteous like that. And this is the thanks we get. You need to seriously consider this. And I'm asking you personally, have you? And if not, why not? Because this affects your life. This is affecting you metaphorically, this is affecting you spiritually, and it's affecting you financially. And it's only going to get worse, because as time goes on, the internet becomes more integral to our daily lives. The fact that Facebook can ban you, and then by extension, certain blogs you can't post at because for some reason it's directly connected to Facebook. I've seen it happen personally. Certain news blogs I can't post at because I don't have a Facebook anymore. You can't get in on coupons and things because it's on Facebook and shit. And what right does anyone have to take that away from you? Even if they want to proclaim that you're not entitled to their services, it's not fucking about them. The world does not revolve around them. The fact is, I should have just as much of a right to coupons or to posting on another blog, not Facebook, that if I want to. And I can't do that because Facebook fucking owns everything. So how is it Facebook's entitlement to ban me if they want to have this kind of monopoly, commit these kinds of abuses, and then turn around and expect donations? You know, and now maybe Facebook doesn't expect donations, but they kind of do, because you know, Facebook has people having to give their information and shit, and then they use that information to sell to corporations. So the corporations are paying them to spy on you. The corporations are paying them to compile people in nice little sets for statistical evidence. And that's why they hate it when you lie about your age or anything about yourself, because they need that for statistical purposes, and that skews it if you alter it in any way. So they want your complete information out there in the open to sell you out. You don't see a dime of it, and yet somehow Facebook is not responsible for anything at all. That they are just a private business and they can do whatever they want to. And some fucking morons that are actually attorneys somehow agree with that. What kind of world are you living in? And what kind of world are you going to choose to live in? Those are the two main questions you need to ask yourself. And if you say the wrong answer, I want nothing to do with you. I really hope you die. So, I guess that's all I have to say for now.